I thought a lot about how I would introduce to you the enigma called Raji. She's truly an epitome of a complete woman, a mother who struggled as a child was suffering from epilepsy. But she was determined to overcome all the obstacles and help her child. The answer that she found to overcome these obstacles was to create a wearable device for the prediction and management of epilepsy. This is a patent pending device and has all the aspects of the latest and the greatest of the current technologies. So, what makes this so special? I think I'll let Raji walk you through her odyssey. Welcome, Raji.
Thank you, everybody. I'm indeed honored to be among you today, and this conference is very special for me. Not because I'm going to make tons of friends or I'm going to network a lot and meet amazing people, more because this is a conference in celebration of women and what women can do and has achieved over a period of time. And I felt that this audience would be a very different kind. This is the audience who will understand me, my journey, my pains and frustrations very well. And for that reason alone, I'm very, very happy to be amongst all of you. I'm also the CEO and founder of Terra Blue, and I'm going to walk you through what my company does. But that will come later as part of my journey. But before that, I will take you through what happened that made me an entrepreneur today. So my presentation is divided into two parts. The first part is called An Awakening. It is about the things that have happened to me that has made me what I am today. And the other part is more technical. It is about what we are building, how we are building, and the challenges that we have faced. So my son, TJay, has had epilepsy since birth. So like I said, I'm the CEO and founder of Terra Blue XT, and my background is more in user experience. I believe I do decently I'm quite confident. I've been doing very well as a user experience strategist for several years now. And for the past 2 years, I have been working as a product designer and the chief architect for our product. As a person, I am fun, friendly. I love people. I love observing people, and I have learned a lot from, interacting with people. So people are my strength. And the other thing is I'm also terrible. People who work in Terra Blue are known as the terribles. So I'm one of the terribles. But everything that I do today, whatever I am today, it emanates from the fact that I am a mother. Maybe there are several mothers in this audience, and you know how it feels to be a mother. I'm not saying I'm a good mother. In fact, I'm quite a bad mother by all the standards that are out there. I don't make breakfast for my children. I don't get the time to. I hardly get time to attend the PTMs. I am not regular with my daughter's studies. I'm a mess that way. But in my inner being, I am a mother, and I feel very strongly about the fact that God has chosen me to be a mother. Every decision that I take comes from the fact that I am a mother. So that was a brief introduction about me. And now we'll go to the past about what happened. So this is very, very, I would say, very intrinsic to me. I'm kind of spilling the beans. I've never shared this part of my life with anyone, not even with my family, but I'm encouraged to do this with you today. And the reason being that, I want, if possible, if at all possible, I would like you to take a little bit of a learning from my life and make your lives much, much better than what is mine today. So in 2011, I gave birth to my son. He's my second child. And obviously, I was very happy. But on the second day of his birth, he had epilepsy, seizures. And at that point in time, I had no idea what they were. I had seen this happen in school and in the road to several people, but I did not know much about it, never tried to know what this is all about. So he used to keep getting these seizures, and he used to be in the hospital quite a lot. And doctors were not able to figure out what was wrong with him. So at that time, I studied a lot about neurology. I felt that the doctors were not able to respond to my questions or the concerns that I had. So I had no option but to learn about epilepsy and neurology and brain science and so on. At that time, all I wanted, all I and my husband wanted, was some kind of a advance notice to know that something is about to happen to TJay, my son, so that we could rush him to the hospital. Now, his seizures were of the type that would not stop on their own. He always needed emergency medicine. If a certain amount of time would pass, then it would become a threat to his life. Okay, and my son has been in ICU several times. Going to ICU once is difficult. Going several times obviously was, taking a toll on my life. And it was his illness was impacting me very severely. It was impacting my work, my relationship with people. It was impacting my family life. I was, being perceived as being paranoid because I was always reading, trying to find out what was going on. I would always have a question for the doctors. So, I felt that people were just trying to avoid me. I went to that state. And to make matters worse, I was also not being very calm and composed at home. I truly felt that I was giving my husband a very tiring time, and I went to a stage of severe anxiety and depression. And one of the things was that before Tejas was born, I have had two miscarriages. That impacted me very badly. And I knew that I did not want to lose this child, the third child. So that was the fear that I had in my mind. And I was not able to express this with anybody. So it was pulling me down and down towards depression. And I was making a mess of everything. One day, I was, um, I was in the shower, and I escaped to the bathroom because I was feeling particularly down that day. My son was unwell. I knew that he might be having a seizure towards the end of the day. So I was very upset. I was in the bathroom and I was crying. And I felt that at that point I had no friend. I did not, there was no one who understood what was wrong with me, why I was so down and so depressed and everything looked so great to me. So in that, desperation, I hugged myself. Okay, I hugged myself, and I pretended that I had a friend in front of me. So I am the eldest in the family, and my friends generally say that I am good at giving advice. I don't know about it, but that's what they say. So I decided to counsel myself unknowingly, okay? At that time, I didn't know that it was such a powerful thing that I did. So I hugged myself, and just like I would ask another person, so I asked, what's wrong with you? Why are you behaving like this? You are angry, you are upset, you are crying at work, you are not able to talk properly to one person. What is wrong with you, okay? And I don't like it. I'm sure you don't like this. What's going on? And I was hugging myself tight, and very strangely, I responded back to myself, okay? The first thing I said was that I'm scared, I'm very, very scared of losing my son, and nobody seems to understand that fear that I have. Everybody says that, okay, he'll be fine, we'll see, we are doing our best and stuff like that. But what is impacting me is the fact that I may lose him, and I never want that to happen. That was one concern that I had. Just like I would ask another person, so I asked myself, so what's next? Okay, so this is something that we will take care of. So what's next? Believe me, the answer stunned me. The answer was, I want my son to be perfect. I didn't know, subconsciously, I was always comparing my son with other children. My son is, he's a special child now. Without speaking it out, I wanted my son to be just like other children, just very normal. And I did not, I thought that I would be embarrassed if I took him out to play or anything. I thought people may say something about him when I was not looking and stuff like that. And I realized that this has got nothing to do with my son. At that moment, I realized that I was being extremely selfish. I have no control over what people thinks of my son. He didn't ask the life that God has given to him. Who am I to judge him? Okay, the first thing, the first concern that I had, we could control that to an extent. We could take him to the best doctors. We can chase doctors all over the world. God has given us the resources to do so. But the second one, that was of my own undoing. I was responsible for the sadness and the depression and anxiety that came out of it. And I realized at that moment, while speaking to myself, that I have got to change my perception. I realized that I myself am not perfect. I have a huge interest in astronomy and cosmology. I follow NASA quite a bit. I do understand that the universe is born out of imperfection. It's born out of the Big Bang, which is an explosion, and it's not come out of something very smooth. Everything that you see around us is born out of some imperfection. And the concept of perfection and imperfection is in our mind. I myself am not imperfect. I'm not perfect. What right do I have to demand perfection of my son? You know, that was the turning point in my life. And I calmed down. I calmed down at that point in time. So here I am in this slide. You know, I went to a stage where I thought that I have no right to be happy. Outwardly, I was very happy and I was going about, but inwardly I was dying. And I felt that I had failed myself. I'm not even capable of delivering a perfect child. So that was what was in my mind. And then I came to the stage where I started thinking about imperfection. And this is my prayer. And I'm sharing, I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but I'm sharing this with you, to let you all know that no matter how we believe, we truly are born out of, imperfection. And the perception of perfection and imperfection is all in our mind. It's up to us to be able to balance this and to be able to deal with this in the right way. So this was a prayer that I had written. This is about how I felt. If you want, I will share this with you. But this is how I slowly calmed myself down. And then slowly and steadily, slowly, when I came out of the bathroom that day, I looked at my son in a very different way. I felt it. In the past, where I was always worried about the way he wobbled, this time when I came out, I saw that he was sitting on the carpet, surrounded by toys, having a great time, throwing the toys away. He looked very happy. When I came out, he smiled at me, he blabbered something. So I realized how happy his happiness made me feel. See, there is a huge difference. In other times, I would come and think, oh my God, he's 4 years old and he's still behaving like a kid. This time, when I came out, I said, oh God, he's having such a good time. Maybe I should join him or something. So the way I thought, they started changing. And that was a huge, huge turning point in my life. When I speak to therapists now, to doctors now, the first thing everybody tells me is that, parents need to accept the imperfections in their child. So maybe nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. We all, feel bad, if we perceive some imperfection in a child, whether in school or, in how they look or feel or do things. We don't go and share this with others, thinking how society is going to perceive us. I think that notion, if it changes, if the society, if all of you change that notion a bit, it's great for us as moms. It's great for our children too. So yes, so this is my journey of acceptance. And then when I started looking at things in a different way, I realized that I became creative. Okay, I was no longer bothered with how my son looked, behaved, did things. I was very, very happy with what he was learning to do. Every day I realized he was doing new things, and that was a great inspiration for me. And I didn't give a damn when I took him out. I started taking him out to malls, to every other place, okay? And I was very, happy showing him off. I was so proud of him. The fact that he had such a severe disability, and despite that, he was able to do so many things. It was it was a huge, I would say, relief for me, and I started focusing more on the positive part of his life. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. So I did tell you at the beginning of this presentation that I read a lot about neurology and brain science and so on, and I was searching for something that could give us a prediction about what would happen if my son is going to have a seizure. There was none available in the market. So after reading neurology for about 3.5 years very obsessively, and also learning electronics, I started reading up about electronics too, about what is available, what is not, and so on. So I got the courage to, buy a breadboard, and I knew what kind of stuff that I needed to know to extract signals from the body. One of the things that I became very interested in was the electrophysiology of the brain. So I started figuring out if there is information coming out from the brain, and that could be detected by EEGs today in hospitals. Could there be other systems? Could we detect such, electrical currents in other parts of our body? So that was the starting point of my invention. So that's how I started. And slowly, I bought all the things together. I hired one fresher from Facebook, from the startup Bangalore page. I said, I need somebody to make something. So I bought everything. And I said, this is how it should work. Now, can you please fix those things for me? Because I didn't know how to interface. I didn't know how to interface electronics. I'm not an engineer. I didn't know. And I was waiting with bated breath. He did fix everything. And then we did get some numbers on the screen, and that was the beginning. I'm going to show you the first photos. Yeah, so so I took a co-working space in Kormangla because I was onto something, I felt, and I'm not an electronics person, so I felt everybody at home they would wonder what's going on with her. So I took a co-working space. I rented out. This is my office, the first one. It's like a dining table in that place, so I rented it. And those are the very first signals that came out of my body. I was amazed. I did not even know if they were like real signals or some junk the screen was throwing up, because I do know that when you fix too many electronics, you are going to get some output. So I didn't know if this was making sense or not. So the next thing to do was to get hold of an epileptologist from Sakra Hospital. We got in Dr. Shiv Kumar, and he came and he said that, this is absolute information from your body, and if you could give me this information in a way in which I could read it, that would make my life so much better. And this is when we're testing with a friend. And there I am, actually sewing my first prototype. So we bought a gym, what do you call those sweatbands. I cut it up. I put all the electronics, boards. Can you see how ugly it looks? I put everything in that, made a big band, and tried putting all the electrodes in my hand and tried to see again if it's working or not. So that was my first prototype. So yeah, so coming to my mix. So what did I have to put in this invention? So a lot of data science, because we are working on, it's about prediction. So we need machine learning and AI for that, for the system to be able to tell a caregiver, a doctor, or a patient that he or she is about to become unwell. The second thing is neurology, yes. I have to understand the workings of the brain and all that stuff. So I had to understand how to communicate fast with or without internet. So IoT came into play. Communications, okay. Then electronics, of course. Design and computing. So I've had to study all of these things. Really, I had to go through all of these things to come up with a product that worked. So this is the device that we are building. So this is this one is we call it the sports version. Now we are miniaturing. We are in the process of miniaturizing the electronics so that it looks like a very normal sporty glove. So all these white things that you see will go away. So the patients wear these gloves, and before they become unwell, we can send an information to their caregiver. So if the child is at school, so the principal or the parent himself or herself can call up the school and say that, can you please take care or can you please provide emergency medicine so that an epileptic attack could be aborted. Okay, so this is what the device does, and we stream information in milliseconds continuously with all the information that we collect. We're building a decision support system for neurologists. So in India, there are 1 crore registered cases of epilepsy and less than 4,000 neurologists. There is a huge gap in treatment. So with devices like this, we are trying to enable non-specialists to provide care just like neurologists to the patients. Because in India and many underdeveloped, developing countries, the non-specialists take over and they provide treatment, and many times they do more harm than good. So when we have a support system like that, we are empowering them to take the right decisions for the betterment of their patients. So yeah, so the TerraBlue technology, unfortunately, I had to take away some of the points from here because the patent is still pending. But what I can share with you is that we are a true IoT company. So you must be hearing so much about IoT. And in IoT, what happens is, all of you must be knowing, most of you, that you are capable of taking information via sensors, and you can just send it to any internet-enabled devices. So we do that. But what we also do, in milliseconds, we can give the insight. So the information passes from the person, goes all over the world, gets all the queries and everything run, and comes back to us with some insight in seconds. It's on-demand information for doctors. At any point in time, doctors want to know what is going on in the life of their patient. They can just tap in and see and get a full, complete data of the seizure frequency, how the patient was sleeping, about moods and triggers and efficacy of medicine and stuff like that. The second thing is we are using a complex array of technologies, VaultDB. So apparently we are one of the first in the world to be using VaultDB for healthcare. It's generally used by in the financial sector. We have Hadoop, we have SQL, NoSQL, MySQL, everything. We also have Edge Analytics for computing and so on. So it is like really complex, and if you like to tinker with new things and you like new technologies, then TerraBlue is a great place to send your resumes to. So yeah, so challenges. So I was asked to put in a slide about challenges. The first challenge I would say is my educational qualification or the lack of it. I'm not a doctor. In several conferences, people address me as Dr. Rajlakshmi Bhattakar, and I say, no, that's a fraud. I'm not a doctor. Neither am I an engineer. And I come from a pure arts background. So probably that's where I get my creativity from. But unfortunately, I'm not from one of those very creative arts subjects. I'm from economics. So I don't know. So it's a mix of science and technology and economics and everything thrown in. And so it's difficult to talk to doctors. Okay, very difficult to convince them that I'm building a device like this because there is none. We don't have a precedent. This is the first of its kind holistic management system for epilepsy in the world, okay? So it's very difficult to convince doctors. So they are more used to EEGs and MRIs and stuff like that, and to tell them that, you have to wear something and you get to know what is happening to the patients in their homes. They don't have to come to hospital. How is that possible? What comes to their mind probably are big machines that patients are carrying around with them. They cannot imagine something very sleek. So yeah, but one of the things that I read is that for a patent to be considered, the solution has to be non-obvious to the domain experts. So I take solace in that okay, fine, good. They don't understand, okay? So we had to figure out some ways of getting around them. But now, yes, now I'm very comfortable talking to them. They know that I'm not just so the next thing is the lack of technology to fall back to. So we are using Quarks and Agent, Apache Agent, trying to use it, I would say. And the community is not very huge because these are developing technologies. We may use it, we may not use it, okay? So we're trying out all kinds of, we're doing POCs with all kinds of edge analytics tools. So that's just one example. So we don't have, from the software side, we didn't have technology to fall back to, which meant that we had to do everything ourselves. Secondly, from the electronics part as well, we had to do things on our own. So we are using we experimented with even the ARM M7. There are no devices out there right now that goes with the ARM 7. So we experimented with that. We experimented with M3, M4, all of the boards. And now I could safely say that we have experimented with all. If you need any help in electronics, head straight to Electronic City. We might be able to head you out. So it took us some time. It took us some time to build a product because the prototype was good, but then to have something really working, we needed real commercial solutions which were not available. So we even ended up building some of the sensors on our own. The next thing is the lack of parts and components. We had to source our components from different countries in the world, from across the world, that added to the cost, and we had to wait. Sometimes the product would come and sit in the customs. We would not have enough money. They're very expensive even to import. So that put a huge load on our timelines. And the next thing is our inability to convey what we are building and getting the market excited. Okay, so it was very, very difficult to get venture capitalists excited about a technology because they are looking for new and great places to invest, but this is a little too new. Nobody has done it, might also means that it might also fail. So it was very difficult to get them excited initially. And the last one, of course, is the lack of high-end manufacturing in India. Despite all the things about Make in India and all of that, we still don't have great fabrication houses in India. We cannot do stack-layered PCBs and all of that here. We have to look at China to do some of our stuff. Again, it adds to the timeline, to the cost, and everything. So this was my journey from what happened in the past to what's happening now and some of the challenges that I have been facing. And my last slide is a little bit of a gift from my side to you. It's a slide, that's the gift. I'm going to talk about it. But before that, I'm going to show you a video. The purpose of showing you, do I have time to show the video? Okay. So the purpose of showing the video is to help you create something. Even if you're working and you have no intention of starting a startup, at least in your work or in your personal life, you could take the learnings from this video and probably you could apply it. And why I thought of showing this to you is because many people ask me, so how were you able to combine neuroscience with electronics, with IoT and branding, and how were you able to do this, okay? The answer lies in the fact that I said I was a strategist, and when you are a strategist, especially a user experience strategist, you have to look at things from all angles, and you have to constantly zoom in and out of situations, okay? And I learned this art of zooming in and out of situations from this video that I had seen long, long back. I don't even remember when I saw it, but it left a very deep impression in my mind. So it's about 9 minutes. So, and I wanted to show it to you because I wanted to leave you with a visual clue so that you remember me and the video and you apply it in your life. It's a little long, but please bear with me, and here it is.
The picnic near the lakeside in Chicago is the start of a lazy afternoon, early one October. We begin with a scene 1 meter wide, which we view from just 1 meter away. Now, every 10 seconds, we will look from 10 times farther away, and our field of view will be 10 times wider. This square is 10 meters wide, and in 10 seconds, the next square will be 10 times as wide. Our picture will center on the picnickers, even after they've been lost to sight. 100 meters wide, the distance a man can run in 10 seconds. Cars crowd the highway. Power boats lie at their docks. The colorful bleachers are Soldiers Field. This square is 1 kilometer wide, 1,000 meters. The distance a racing car can travel in 10 seconds. We see the great city on the lake shore. 10 to the 4th meters, 10 kilometers. The distance a supersonic airplane can travel in 10 seconds. We see first the rounded end of Lake Michigan, then the whole Great Lake. 10 to the 5th meters, the distance an orbiting satellite covers in 10 seconds. Long parades of clouds, the day's weather in the Middle West. 10 to the 6th, a 1 with 6 zeros, 1 million meters. Soon the Earth will show as a solid sphere. We are able to see the whole Earth now, just over a minute along the journey. The Earth diminishes into the distance, but those background stars are so much farther away that they do not yet appear to move. A line extends at the true speed of light. In 1 second, it half crosses the tilted orbit of the moon. Now we mark a small part of the path in which the Earth moves about the sun. Now the orbital paths of the neighbor planets, Venus and Mars, then Mercury. Entering our field of view is the glowing center of our solar system, the sun, followed by the massive outer planets, swinging wide in their big orbits. That odd orbit belongs to Pluto. A fringe of a myriad comets too faint to see completes the solar system. Ten to the 14th. As the solar system shrinks to one bright point in the distance, our sun is plainly now only one among the stars. Looking back from here, we note 4 southern constellations, still much as they appear from the far side of the Earth. This square is 10 to the 16th meters, 1 light year, not yet out to the next star. Our last 10-second step took us 10 light years further. The next will be 100. Our perspective changes so much in each step now that even the background stars will appear to converge. At last, we pass the bright star Arcturus and some stars of the Dipper. Normal but quite unfamiliar stars and clouds of gas surround us as we traverse the Milky Way galaxy. Giant steps carry us into the outskirts of the galaxy. And as we pull away, we begin to see the great flat spiral facing us. The time and path we chose to leave Chicago has brought us out of the galaxy along a course nearly perpendicular to its disk. The 2 little satellite galaxies of our own are the clouds of Magellan. 10 to the 22nd power, 1 million light years. Groups of galaxies bring a new level of structure to the scene. Glowing points are no longer single stars, but whole galaxies of stars seen as one. We pass the big Virgo cluster of galaxies among many others, 100 million light years out. As we approach the limit of our vision, we pause to start back home. This lonely scene, the galaxies like dust, is what most of space looks like. This emptiness is normal. The richness of our own neighborhood is the exception. The trip back to the picnic on the lakefront will be a sped-up version, reducing the distance to the Earth's surface by 1 power of 10 every 2 seconds. In each 2 seconds, we'll appear to cover 90% of the remaining distance back to Earth. Notice the alternation between great activity and relative inactivity, a rhythm that will continue all the way into our next goal, a proton in the nucleus of a carbon atom beneath the skin on the hand of the sleeping man at the picnic. Ten to the 9th meters, 10 to the 8th, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are back at our starting point. We slow up at 1 meter, 10 to the 0 power. Now we reduce the distance to our final destination by 90% every 10 seconds, each step much smaller than the one before. At 10 to the minus 2, 1/100th of a meter, 1 centimeter, we approach the surface of the hand. In a few seconds, we'll be entering the skin, crossing layer after layer from the outermost dead cells into a tiny blood vessel within. Skin layers vanish in turn. An outer layer of cells, felty collagen. The capillary containing red blood cells and a roughly lymphocyte. We enter the white cell. Among its vital organelles, the porous wall of the cell nucleus appears. The nucleus within holds the heredity of the man in the coiled coils of DNA. As we close in, we come to the double helix itself, a molecule like a long twisted ladder whose rungs of paired bases spell out twice, in an alphabet of 4 letters, the words of the powerful genetic message. At the atomic scale, the interplay of form and motion becomes more visible. We focus on one commonplace group of 3 hydrogen atoms bonded by electrical forces to a carbon atom. 4 electrons make up the outer shell of the carbon itself. They appear in quantum motion as a swarm of shimmering points. At 10 to the minus 10 meters, 1 angstrom, we find ourselves right among those outer electrons. Now we come upon the 2 inner electrons held in a tighter swarm. As we draw toward the atom's attracting center, we enter upon a vast inner space. At last, the carbon nucleus, so massive and so small. This carbon nucleus is made up of 6 protons and 6 neutrons. We are in the domain of universal modules. There are protons and neutrons in every nucleus, electrons in every atom, atoms bonded into every molecule out to the farthest galaxy. As a single proton fills our scene, we reach the edge of present understanding. Are these some quarks in intense interaction? Our journey has taken us through 40 powers of 10. If now the field is 1 unit, then when we saw many clusters of galaxies together, it was 10 to the 40th, or 1 and 40 zeros.
So how was it? Interesting, right? So next time you are in a soup, in a bad situation, think of the torture that you went through today. That 10 minutes she made us watch this damn video. Okay? I want you to remember, because if I didn't show it to you and I told you about it, you would not have felt it. And the reason I showed is that, and again, one of the reasons why I'm able to do what I'm doing today is because for many years now, I have been able to zoom in and out of situations. I do it effortlessly now. Before, I used to always, feel that something wrong is going on. My mind would not work in the right places. I would end up saying the wrong things. And all that, not do good at work, not able to, life is a mess. Okay, you understand what I mean. But then, as I slowly started to zoom in, when I say I zoom in, I mean to say that I look at a situation very, very deeply, very intrinsically, from all angles, okay? And then I bring myself up and see how does it feel when I add few more things to it. So this is something that you can start practicing. Whenever you are confronted with any situation, even at work, even if it is a simple confrontation with anyone, think through. Think through what you're going to say, how you're going to behave, what is going to happen, what will be the impact of us saying something now versus later, and so on and so forth, and be prepared. This is really, really going to help you out in the long run. So I come to the last slide of my presentation, and this is my gift to you from my heart. I don't have anything physical to give you, but this is the best I could. I've shared my life story with you. I have never spoken about my miscarriages on stage, and I felt confident in doing this today because you are mostly a bunch of women. No offense meant to the gentlemen out here, but yeah, I felt very confident, and I felt that I'm among people who understand me the mostest. So that's why. So whenever you are in trouble, you are very depressed, life is not going on in the right way, give yourself a hug, please. You know, many of us don't realize it, and it is, read about it much later, that it's very important for us to love ourselves. We are capable of loving so many individuals. Many times we forget ourselves. So give yourself a nice, tight hug and calm yourself down. Ask your mind to calm yourself down, and just trust me, you'll be successful. The next thing is, you are imperfect. You know, each one of us, and I say imperfect, I don't mean to say that you are not beautiful or whatever. I meant to say that look around the room. Each one of us have different eyes, nose, hair, and everything. We are not templates. We are not templates. So we are born the way we are born, and we need to celebrate whatever we have, whatever we don't have, and we need to celebrate this imperfection in others. With folded hands, I would like to, appeal to all of you that whenever you see a person with disability, next time, remember me and remember that this person has not asked for this imperfection. It has been given to him or her by a power that we do not understand. The third thing is keep practicing acceptance. Accept yourself, your situation, your life, your husband, your friends, your family, whatever. Just accept it. This is how life is going to move on. Go with the flow. Everybody talks about going with the flow. So I know it sounds, cliched, but truly accept your situation and go with the flow. You will find happiness there. And remember the power of 10, especially when you're going to start a startup or you're going to build something or you're going to get on a new project. Think about the power of 10 and see, zoom in, zoom out of the situation. Look at your project deep within. Look at the piece of code. See how that piece of code is going to impact your business strategy. They're very far away. Your business strategy and a small module, a piece of code in a small module is like really, really far apart. But do think what kind of an impact it may have. And the last thing, go live. Have fun in your life. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
So how you keep yourself motivated in entire your journey? Because there are distractions, and how to say no to the distractions that comes to us.
I now don't say no to the distractions. Okay, so I try to deal with them. They
Okay.
will come. That's one of the things that I have accepted. The distractions will come, and I just have to deal with it at that moment. And I've become more accepting to failures as well. Many times I know that the decisions I have taken, despite the best intentions, are not the best ones. So I just do it. I think about it, of course, but I take that step. And even if something distracts me, I know it needs my priority at that point in time, and I address it. I don't sweep it under a carpet. So for me, dealing with that distraction is the best way to get rid of it.
And how you keep yourself motivated always what you want in your life.
Um, how do I keep myself motivated? Like I said, I've become more accepting. And from childhood, I have been a very happy, jolly, that kind of a person. And maybe because when depression finally ended, I ended up with depression. I was so severely depressed. But I just try to become, I'm trying to become the person that I was in the past. I've started accepting things. I go with the flow. I certainly give time to myself. I go pamper myself in the parlor. I go out with my friends. I've started doing all the things that I was doing in the past. And since I've started living a more of a normal life and going back to who I am, basically, I think that keeps me motivated to continue.
Any suggestion for us to motivate, to keep us, to motivate ourselves uh, to achieve what we want.
Okay, the first thing is you need to know that you will, whenever you try to do something, you will come across problems. There will be lots of challenges and hurdles. Please know that they are supposed to be there. See, that nothing is perfect. So you must go through those challenges in order to reach your target. Keep that in mind, and I guess that is the best advice I could give you. Keep continuing, keep trying, keep failing. That's okay. Everybody fails in life, but accept that failure. It's okay to fail. Not a big deal, okay? So what's important is to get up and try again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question here. First of all, thank you so much for such a nice gift.
Thank you.
And I have a question that, as you told, you were from arts background, right? So how did that inspiration came in you that you want to do this? Basically, it's difficult. Like, what challenge I face is, how do I find what I love to do? Like, there are so many various things these days that you get distracted. Today, I feel I want to go into IoT. Tomorrow, I feel I want to go to data analytics, because there are so many things and I get lost. So how do you find what you love to do?
Okay. So the first thing is a confession. I never thought of starting a company.
Okay.
Okay, so I did not become an entrepreneur because I wanted to do something. It was not that. Rather, for me, it was a situation. I got into or I would say, destiny put me in some situation. And my company is a result of that. That's the way I look at it, okay? And then once I realized that, there is nothing in this market, in the market that will help my son, maybe I could start doing something for him, okay? And then I started figuring out about epilepsy as a whole and the state of epilepsy in India, in the world. And I realized that, we are much better off compared to others. And now my son does not need my device, but there are other people who are worse off than him, and they need this more than my son. So for me, that became the starting point. I found my mission that when I do this for others, all the accumulated blessings will come to my son. So there is a selfish agenda there. I certainly want all the blessings to come his way. But now I don't look, now it's a normal business. So what I would like to tell you is that you have to find whatever you want to do yourself from the bottom of the heart, something that makes you really, really happy and fulfilled at the end of the day, something that makes you a better person. I think that is your goal. You have to search for it yourself and go after it. Distractions will be there. They are good. Welcome them. Try out all the distractions. See what keeps you motivated and keeps you going, and then go with the one that you think suits you the most.
Thank you so much. So
Pleasure.
you converted your problem into an opportunity, and
I guess so.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Hi, here. It was an awesome journey. Even the way you said it across, I mean, as a parent, I can understand how much you've gone through. You started with the purpose, keeping your son, how do I solve his problem first? So at that point of time, you also said none of your support system actually supported. So you have reached a stage where your support system actually understand what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
But during this transition period, how did you try to keep yourself, okay, I am concentrating on this, I'm not bothered about the rest of the world. You and the world on the other side. How did you actually stand by for your own self?
Yeah, so now that I've never answered this question. So when you're asking me, bringing some smiles in my face because, well, on the contrary, I looked at doing this because I wanted a distraction. Not because, my support system was not working and I'm escaping. No, because, I knew they would never understand me. People are labeling me as paranoid. I myself had to be admitted to the ICU, which was a horrible experience. I ended up with high BP and anxiety, and now I've cut up, I don't take those medicines anymore, okay? So I have come out of that situation pretty fast, thanks to all these things. But to answer your question, at that point in time, while I was going through the bad times, it was happening in the background, all this. But quietly, I was doing my stuff. I needed some kind of a solace, something to do on my own that would keep me busy and not get all the sad thoughts pouring into my brain. So, yeah.
I thank you for the motivation. So my question is, as a mother of two kids, how do you find time to learn data science, electronics, and all the other streams?
Yeah, I know. So I'm very nocturnal, very owlish that way. So the best time, the time that I'm most active is after 10 o'clock when almost everybody goes off to sleep. And I quickly take out my laptop and I get started and I can go on and on. And the thing about me is that when I want to do something, I do it. So the next day, the lack of sleep does not bother me at all. I will also find time to sleep in between, okay? So what if I didn't sleep at night? I know I have got to have my 8 hours of sleep or whatever, so I'll sleep in the afternoon. That way I'll miss the parent-teachers meeting, and I will not cook breakfast or I would end up looking very shabby, but I have achieved my purpose. So, and I knowingly do that, so it doesn't bother me. Okay, so if you were to come home, you'd say, oh my gosh, she's still in her pajamas at 2 in the afternoon. That's because maybe I was sleeping and I just tried to make up and I probably slept when my son was also asleep. So to answer your question, whenever I get time, mostly at night I used to do it, but now whenever I get time, I know I have to get my work done. Okay, so I will do it happily at odd hours, but I will end up doing it.
Hello again. Here. How long did it take for you to understand the subject that you're actually interested in? Because you're from a different
Yeah,
background
three
altogether.
and a half years.
Three and a
It
half
took
years.
me exactly 3.5 years.
I had a question. So we are really overtouched by your views
Thank you.
and your passion to what you really wanted to the journey that you have gone on a personal front. But there's a very open-ended question that I wanted to ask to you, that having your own startup today and really living your dream versus if you have worked for an organization which was not your forte, what is the key difference that you see that you still trying to take it from the organization that you worked and the startup that you built for yourself?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So, um, one of the things, so before I started, I have worked in IT for many, many years, and I have really rose through the ladder. And though we are a startup, I keep telling in several of these startup conferences I have spoken about it, that though we are a startup, we have the mentality of an old organization. In startups, you have a lot of freedom. You would have small teams, so you get approvals very fast. You need not write long mails, go through the hierarchy to get an approval to start doing things. All that is not required. But then what we have taken from corporates is the orientation towards processes. The way we work in a very structured way. Most corporates work in very structured ways. Things are documented very properly and all that. So we follow that very rigorously. And the process is one thing that I have certainly taken from my adherence to processes. Respecting the importance of processes is something that I have taken from my Infosys days. I was there for almost 9 years. So I absolutely understand that and I try to implement this. And the other thing is discipline. We are being disciplined with the funds that we receive. So startups do get funded, and many times it's difficult to figure out what to do with so much money. But though we are a startup, we treat our money and the trust that investors have placed on us very, very stringently.
Sorry, I had to add another question to it. Is your first challenge was your education background, where you don't come from either the electronics space, related studies or anything on the doctors related studies. The challenge is definitely there, but you yourself do anytime feel that if I would have done this kind of studies, it would have really helped me do more better, or you really don't really feel about it
I
at all?
don't. I don't. I just think that I was meant to be. I just think that my son was meant to happen in my life. Even before that, I started off in Bangalore. I started my career as a writer. When I was in Guwahati, I'm from Assam. I had my own business. I had a data entry firm. And my firm was one of the first data entry firms in Guwahati at that point in time, talking about 1999. I was very, very young. I was still in college. I was entrepreneurial at that time without knowing it. And I worked in IT. Though I had a BA, I was very comfortable working in IT. And in Bangalore, I started off as a technical writer, content writer. I did freelancing. And then I moved up the ladder. I went to user experience and usability and all of that. That happened as part of my as part of my journey. I never knew that I would be a usability engineer when I was starting, when I had my data entry firm in Guwahati. It just happened to me. I took a liking for the subject and I followed it. And one thing that I have not, I have not let that ever come to me. Not studying engineering or medical was my choice. I had decided long back that I didn't want to do this because I wanted to get married. I was a nightmare to my parents, okay? I'm being honest with you. So I went for and I did have the marks to get into either engineering or medical, but I didn't want to. Who would want to study for 5 years? I would rather, marry some handsome person and have children. That's the way I thought, okay? So, yeah, so see, this is a women's conference, so I can talk about these things. You'll understand probably. So yeah, so it was a choice. I could have done it. Maybe I would have not come out with flying colors, but I did have the capability or the resources to do it. I didn't just do it. And whatever I got later on was like, okay, it was my choice. So I'm learning writing, doing technical writing. I realized I like technology. I love technology. I love it. You give me something, I'll start working on it immediately. So in my heart, probably, I have always been a technologist, but my choices, my situation in life took a very different journey and brought me to my rightful place. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I just have a question. I wanted to know, as a startup, like, have you faced issues with the recruitments? Like, because most of the startups have issues, like people don't join in because everyone wants a big brand, and like I think that might, like, have you faced those issues?
Not in all the fields. In data science, if you even go through Angel List, we have about some 200 applicants, about 80% of them from IITs. So
Okay.
people who understand what we are doing are very open to joining us.
Okay.
But we found it difficult to get senior resources, Java resources from we wanted to bring them from bigger companies, like people who have really worked in those domains for a very long period of time in kind of legacy systems and all. So that we found difficulties there. But in some of the fields, we actually had lots of people coming to join us.
And what about the finances? Like, when you did a startup, when you thought of doing, like,
I put out my money, exhausted everything.
Okay.
So, and then we got a grant from Government of India. So my project, my work is recognized by the Government of India.
Okay.
And we are the winners of, one of the winners of Intel DST, Innovate for Digital India. So as part of that, we got equity funding.
Okay.
Then we have angel investors. And yeah, so we are not very, very like funded, but we are decently funded to help us.
Like, any suggestions how to deal with the finances, and any
Pardon?
how to deal with the finances, like how you get the financial support from the other companies, or any suggestions from you?
Yeah, in terms of finances, like I was just telling her, that one of the things that I would tell everyone if you're planning to start a startup is that when investors invest, they're obviously looking for a return. And you have got to make them understand it, that you are serious with their money. I think that's where the gap is. Many times investors, they would always have this question mark. In our case, though, certainly, this is neither hardware nor software. What is she talking about? She's not even from the technical background, not a doctor. So you can understand. So for us, it was a little difficult, but if you have something straightforward, and you tell them that you have a proper plan, execution plan with you, and you understand your markets, you understand what exactly you're building and why, the purpose, why you're building something, you would have people investing in you, certainly.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, just a curiosity question. How big is your firm today?
We have about 30 people. 30 people, and we have extended teams, like the industrial design is outsourced.
And you mentioned epilepsy in India is pretty high,
Yeah.
but do you have like do you have customers who will be able to buy this product?
Yes. Yes,
Based
so
on the
in
pricing?
India it is about, yeah, so it is. So the first product that we're building is for a niche set of customers in certain areas with a certain background, because this thing certainly needs internet connectivity. But then we are also building another version that works without, it's a simple system, stripped of all the all the jazz. So that system works without internet. And we also have a remote consulting facility. So through the system itself, the neurologists and patients can connect with each other. So we are launching our first service on the 17th in the northeast of India. This is for people who cannot pay really much. So this service is meant for them. So
And
we
will
have
the doctors, like, does it need doctors to also understand, like a training for the doctors also to understand this kind of data?
so
Or
orientation, yes, just like with any software. So doctors get their dashboards, and they can also, have all these alerts. So doctors generally don't want to follow each and every patient. They would have like tons of patients. So for whatever reason they want to follow, like if this person gets like 30 seizures a day, I certainly want to keep a tab. He can do that. Okay, it's a easy to use interface for doctors, and it's dashboardy. Mostly they can drill down in and out of that system, and it's on demand for them. Whenever they want to see information about the patients, they can.
super awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
Ms.
you so
Linty.
much. Thank you, everybody.